What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Apartment 113 podcast, where we talk with cool folks in the cannabis and psychedelics industry to learn about their projects and celebrate their successes. My name is Rob Sanchez, and this is episode 42. We're joined today by the Chief Strategy Officer at FlowGardens Indoor Cultivation, David Miller. FlowGardens believes in cultivating health and happiness through premium quality cannabis. With their indoor R&D cultivation facility in East Tennessee, they're changing the perception of the plant by educating customers on the wellness benefits across the entire spectrum of cannabinoids. Find out more at flowgardens.com and enjoy the show. David, welcome to the show, man. It's good to have you.
Hey, Rob. Thanks for having me and making time. Happy to talk to you and obviously your audience and listeners too.
Definitely, man. I'm looking forward to learning more about FlowGardens and kind of about the cultivation scene in and around Tennessee and kind of the whole story over there, man. It looks like you guys have quite a range of cultivars you're growing. I love to see that variety.
Yeah, it's a new day every day in a very different way. So love to chat with you about whatever you're interested in.
Awesome, man. Yeah, and before we dig into FlowGardens and kind of the origins of the company, how about a little bit about your background, history in and around cannabis? Have you been consuming for a while, like some of our listeners, or maybe new to the space, like a few of our other listeners and guests?
Yeah, I mean, I started growing it whenever I was 15 in my room with a lava lamp flipped upside down.
Oh, that is awesome.
No,
way to MacGyver it.
Yeah.
I imagine it didn't work too great.
No, it didn't turn out too well there. I put eggshells on it, thinking that the calcium could quickly convert. And I did all kinds of things wrong, but I wasn't an experienced grower. Obviously took a hiatus other than consuming it. I did it a little bit in high school, some in college. Then I got into the small business space and the financial space for 20 years.
Okay.
What I went to school for, and working 60 plus hours a week. I didn't do it for a while.
Really burning on both ends.
Oh yeah. Yeah, to put it lightly, and that's really kind of what led me back to cannabis was, our company had done extremely well, gotten fastest growing financial company in the country in 2016, 17, and it was around then. It was just like, I'm not having fun. This is a grind. And it was my baby. I built the company, right? And money was not solving the greater purpose. So it only took me,
right.
15, 20 years to figure that out. I was like, all right, I'll go to college, make a lot of money, and everything will be good. So I hired a president, took a step back, Rob, and was like, what do I want to do? I thought about what was important to me, and there's some situations in my, with myself and my family, and one of my really good friends passed away of cancer, and cannabis was a big part of that. So I just decided, I'm going to go in the cannabis space. So I went from being like the most neglected, don't talk to this person at a party in the financial space, talking about capital raising and all kinds of, boring number stuff, to, oh, this guy's in the cannabis space, we want to talk to him. And now everybody wants to talk to me. But
that's funny. Quite a change in conversation there, 180. And
yeah.
Or maybe there's some similar threads there, obviously, with the importance of the financial understanding, and like kind of the business aspect of cannabis is constantly changing. I imagine there was some correlation there. Did you find it difficult to make that switch from a business leader, or from working day to day for the finance world to now relying on the natural process, or on plants themselves and building products?
Yeah, I mean, I think probably at the end, it's growing a business. It's starting nothing and creating something great out of it. and building an awesome team, and where everybody's aligned and they have a clear purpose and vision of where we're going. So there are tons of similarities, despite one being a service business and now in the cannabis space being a product based business, in the cultivation and retail B2C parts of the value chain. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely an adjustment.
And you got in very early with FlowGardens, right? You said that the build out was kind of just getting started, or was the facility already growing plants when you joined the team?
Yeah, there were a couple. I think there were one or two cultivation. The mother room was definitely up and running. Maybe one or two cultivation rooms that were up and going. Our founder had basically rolled up his sleeves and did everything, with the help of a couple people by himself. Super creative and entrepreneurial spirited guy, Eric Melzer. But yeah, I joined on, and it was a natural fit. I was that guy in the financial industry. I would go to conferences, and everybody would be wearing a suit and tie, and I would have on, my favorite sweatshirt. It's my Nutella sweatshirt, my hoodie, with a big thing of Nutella on it, a picture of it, and it says it across there, and everybody look at me and start laughing like they thought I was joking around. I'm like what? This is my son's favorite sweatshirt. Like, that's why I wear it. Or, and like, God forbid I wore my cartoon Adventure Time sweatshirt, then people think I was on crack. But
It
so
definitely gives you some freedom, huh? To really express yourself and kind of do what you want there, a little bit outside of the structure of the typical corporate realm.
Yeah, for sure. So that's kind of me, Rob, and being more of a contrarian, like being able to just kind of, I don't want to say be a rebel, but go against the grain, especially in this industry. I think it's a good fit. But yeah,
Yes.
let's stop talking about boring me. What do you want to learn about our company? That's the interesting part.
No, yeah, it's good. It's good to hear the story and kind of learn the background as well. And with the company, man, like we mentioned, there's quite a range of flower you guys are growing. It's awesome to see it sorted out by the types on the shop. I think that's something the industry is just starting to lean on a little more. In certain regions, you never hear of types, with a type 1 flower being high THCA, type 2 with a THC CBD balance. Was it always that way for FlowGardens, or did you guys start with a specific type of cannabis or a smaller range of products?
Yeah, so that was kind of the blessing in disguise, and how the company was birthed and created, is that our founder, who's been growing it, he's 44, he's a couple years older than me. He's been growing it, in the shadows, for lack of better words, for 30 plus years. And I think it was in 2016, 17, when the Farm Bill was getting ready to roll out. If it hadn't already,
Yeah.
he was smoking a 1-to-1 in Colorado, a type 2, part CBD, part THC. And he's like, this is the future, and let's do this. The cannabis market doesn't even know about, the 1-to-1s for the most part. And I would say probably 99% of people don't.
Still growing, right? Still kind of surprising people that you can find that combination of cannabinoids that fall within the Farm Bill, right? With the THC limits well within, in some cases, looking at the lab results.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's kind of how it started, and that's we couldn't grow quote marijuana in Tennessee, so
Right.
he had to start with hemp. So he started with CBD, where the genetics they're certainly a heck of a lot further along than they were 10 years ago, but they're still not as strong as the type 1 marijuana market. And over the past 3+ years, our CBD genetics, our 1-to-1 genetics, they're night and day from what they used to be. So
You could see the evolution, or smell the evolution as well, huh? I imagine on the harvest days and in the flower rooms.
yeah, yep,
Nice.
yeah, sure.
Is there a cultivar that's your favorite in the lineup right now, or kind of one that you guys are the most proud of? I saw that you had several cup awards in the last few years. Is that off of a single strain or a specific variety?
God, that's a great question. It's obviously like specific to each person. For me, I don't have the highest of tolerance. Um, I do use pretty frequently, but I don't have a very high tolerance. So I really like a
A
good
little
one
goes
to
a long way.
yeah. So I like a
Yeah,
good one to one. What our founder and myself, for that matter, have been uh, using recently has been our Point Break times OZK, um, and that's
nice.
just
That's a newer in the mix or newer in the lineup for you guys.
yeah. It's called Butterberry on our site, and that's just it's
Okay.
that CBD keeps you calm, level headed. But the THCA conversion to THC that kind of gives you that good euphoric balance. So
Yeah, that
that's
looks
probably
excellent.
my favorite right now. I know it's going to change. He's got
It's
so many
rotating.
different. Yeah, he's got so many different phenos back there, man. And
Yeah, it looks
he's
like that.
crossing so many different stuff. It's like walking. It's like Christmas every day when you walk in and figure out what you want to do.
This is the new product. This is the new R&D work.
Yeah, it's like I grabbed. This is some James Loud, his pink champagne that he gave us.
Oh,
Um,
nice. Okay.
so that is a type one, but I'm going to try that, and then Skittles back crossed with Skittles. So I mean, there's so many different things. I mean,
Yeah,
there's how
dude,
many
they
strains out there? 700, 800 that they've officially indexed, and we know there's a lot more.
hundreds and hundreds more with the different phenos buried in there and mutants along the way. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I was just looking at the labs on that Butterberry, that Point Break OZK. That looks excellent with a like a heavy linalool, limonene, terpene representation. Anything testing over 10 milligrams per gram, any terpene, that's where I start to kind of raise my eyebrows on the market on products. Definitely gets good. And I saw that
Hmm.
bisabolol was actually rating pretty high on that, which is a rarer terpene in the cannabis recreational kind of market. In the type one flower. So I think in the one to ones, you can probably find some terpene combinations that aren't very known. I even saw that there was a skunk berry, I think, that had like osamine dominance. That's super rare to find as well. Always cool to see.
Yeah, the skunk butter. I
Oh,
don't think
skunk butter,
I
yeah.
don't think the osmine's dominant, but you're right. It's like it's prevalent in there, and it's
Higher,
typically
huh?
not in there.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I love to see that variety and the community in general trying to turn towards appreciating terpenes more in the product and not just looking at what's the THC percentage. And I think FlowGardens has jumped right to the chase of that and just focus on the terpenes and the other cannabinoids, tossing the THC percentage to the wind. Actually,
Yeah, and you can actually on our site you can filter the different phenotype by type one, two, three. You can also filter it by terpenes.
yes,
So,
yeah, that's
so if
that's
you're
a good
looking for
move
one,
for sure. I like to see that. So that way, if you know you're in for terpenylene, you can track it down and find that sweet mango flavor. Looks like
oh
you guys
yeah,
had some eraser on the
Racer V, that's
terpenylene.
got all kinds of stuff in it. That's not only cannabinoids but terps too. That's kind of got a minty flavor.
Uh,
Yeah, it's not like super psychoactive, but definitely will have some because it's a one to one. But
yeah,
with all those terps and different cannabinoids, that entourage effect with that Eraser V is amazing.
I can imagine. Yeah, I actually don't have a lot of experience with one-to-one flower or CBD based flower. So after this conversation, I'm gonna have to do some digging on the shop and see what we can try out. Could you explain a little bit of the difference between like maybe what most of the market is associating with a type one cannabis to a one-to-one, the effects there and
Sure.
kind of the feelings?
Yeah, that's a great question, and just for your listeners, Rob, and your audience, one of the things that we are been working on for a while is we have a resource center that we're not just going on Chat GPT and cranking out a bunch of content that is like kind of halfway accurate. It's not really tailored. So we're doing that and tailoring it to our situation. And we're going to have a lot of content out there to make sure that users know, one, we're not only a farm that cares a heck of a lot about growing this plant, but more importantly, we want to educate, the customers out there. And part of that, to get to your question, is, what does one-to-one mean? What are the different types? It's pretty simple. Being in the industry, type 1 is THC only, or you could say THCA only. So that is going to be not only, it's going to be very heavy, so little presence of other cannabinoids like CBD. So that's what most people know as marijuana. Definitely
right.
psychoactive.
High THC. Yeah.
Yep. High THC. There you go. Sorry, it's the end of the day. You can probably.
Yeah. No, I see. And it's later for you over there than it is for me.
Yeah. So, that's type 1, psychoactive, high THC, low CBD. Type 2 is a mix of CBD and THC. So it's going to have that psychoactive effect that the THC has, but it's also going to have that CBD effect that isn't psychoactive, but you still get like a head change or a body change. And
a mood shift that comes from it. Yeah.
Yeah. For sure, Rob, and that is the biggest thing from a mental health and wellness perspective. I try and share with people, and how the medical dispensary market for this is kind of taking a little bit extreme, but it's kind of a farce in a way. I do believe THC is medicine, but if you look at all these medical dispensaries, they don't have the one-to-ones in there,
right.
And
not
everybody's got a
CBD
different situation. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead, Rob.
No, you were just saying that they don't have that variety. Actually, what they're offering medicinally, it's very strongly THC dominant. There are sometimes those 2 CBD products on the bottom of the menu, or some dispensaries that may lean into it more, but it is not common.
Yeah, and that's one of the things we really think we're way ahead of the market, ahead of our time, which is fine. It's our job to lead there. It's like, what, if you believe this plant is medicine, let's look at all the cannabinoids, let's look at all the terpenes, and let's give the customers an option to do it. And I get everybody's excited, or a lot of people are excited because, cannabis / marijuana is legal now, but, let's take a look at, a one-to-one that has THC and CBD. That there are people out there that CBD can help from, a calming and mental health and, inflammation standpoint. So mix that with some
right.
THC.
They may not need that full on, more euphoric effect of a THC dominant strain. Or that might just be too much, as you were saying, tolerances and, set and setting. I mean, depending on folks' consumption habits, a puff can sometimes be too much on a high THC strain.
Yeah, you're right, Rob. And it's not necessarily a knock on the medical dispensary arena. I know I kind of came at them a little hard, but at the same time, look at what the cynics are saying. They're saying like, oh, this marijuana market, this is bad. It doesn't need to be legalized federally. It's, there's all these, devils, like all those old school mentality narratives that were out there, right?
Yes.
Reefer madness.
Kind of blocking the way, huh?
Yeah, all that. Like, let's debunk all that nonsense and let people see the plant for what it is. And to do that, you can't just sell. I don't necessarily like comparing alcohol and marijuana, but it used to be prohibited as well. So it's like, let's just not drink moonshine. Let's mix it up a little. Let's lighten it down a little.
Right, right. It's just this intense focus on moonshine and the moonshine patient limits and moonshine legalization. And meanwhile, all the whiskey distillers are in the background, right? Making something that tastes amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a good, I know it's always rough to compare the two spaces, but it is kind of analogous. It's good to, to get a feel for the industries. I think as we see the markets mature, the consumers tend to follow with that in their education. And I think after THC percentage, right, it's on to terpenes and other cannabinoids. And that's where I think the doors open to start discovering hemp derived terpenes and hemp flower. When it comes to the seeds and the cultivars, I saw it. There are actually pretty rich lines of genetics of high CBD cultivars throughout the states and maybe even outside of the U.S. Are there any that you guys partner with now, or is everything made in house at this point?
Yeah, we've done several collaborations. We're working on a collaboration now with Capillator. Um, we're working with, and our founder is not me. Um, we're working with High Alpine Genetics, who's more
Nice.
obviously more CBD type 2, type 3 focused and capped. But yeah, we got tons of different crosses, tons of different experiments that we're working on. You
Yeah, you
know,
mentioned you had some R&D space there. How's the grow split out? 2 or 3 flower rooms with veg and moms, or do you have a bigger space you can dedicate to R&D and really testing?
so we just incorporated about a 10,000 square. It's not fully built out, but a 10,000 square foot secondary 10,000 square foot facility. So now
Okay.
our original facility, it's worked out beautifully because we were doing essentially all R&D here, and having to sell to our consumers this beautiful flower that we're growing. So we couldn't have just one room that was all Bob or skunk butter or certain cultivar, which does make it would make it easier, but you know we anyway. So we were balancing that, and on top of that, we had 3 different hydro methods: RDWC, top drip, flood and drain.
Oh,
In
all at the
addition to
same
our living,
time.
yeah, in addition to our living soil in our 6 different rooms, we had one double tier room. We did some R&D there. That was a flop. The double tier room was
Not satisfied or
yeah,
didn't quite work with the equipment or the cultivars, huh?
yeah, kind of almost everything there that you said.
I haven't worked on a double tier grow. My experience in the grow was on single tier tables, but I imagine that second tier is just not. It's not the greatest to work around and be with all day the way you have to when you cultivate. But I understand the space efficiency. The idea seems very good. I still need to see it maybe in practice.
Yeah, maybe when there's some type of like AI robotics that can lollipop and defoliate on that level.
Get up
But
there for you. Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't necessarily the top actually yielded better than the bottom. That was the crazy thing, and a lot of I
Interesting.
don't.
Is it air and airflow kind of thing then? Or
Yeah, we messed with that. We messed with the airflow. Or by we, our founder, chief grow officer Eric did.
yeah,
Messed with the airflow, the humidity. There's just so many more variable factors there when you
creating
have
that
two
kind of,
levels.
yeah, for sure. It's not, it already takes a difficult science and art and adds a second layer literally. So
Yeah,
the three to four methods you had at the time, do you still have all four of those, or have
yeah,
you narrowed down the practices? Okay,
yeah. We do still have all four. We're looking at a fifth,
awesome.
aquaponics. We want to have a
Uh,
little more structured approach to that since it is kind of going, taking it to a different level with what we
that would
want
be
to
like
accomplish
deep
with
water
it.
culture,
Aquaponics,
right? With just the roots in the tank.
yeah, yeah, but So RDWC, the deep water culture, you're right. We do have that, but we want to go to aquaponics where we're actually using, excuse my language, fish shit.
Naturally, like literally naturally derived. So you
Yeah,
actually have fish in the tanks. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So we're
Awesome,
so we're
man.
working on that. It's not rolled out yet. It could be a couple years. It could be a couple months. A lot of moving parts there, but
Cool. Have
yeah,
you
we
seen that
still have.
certain
Oh, go ahead.
strains or sorry, have you seen out that certain strains thrive in the different rooms, or are they kind of all grown in all of them?
So they grow vastly different in our living soil versus our hydroponic and specifically RDWC room. The smells, I feel like the terp levels are stronger in the living soil, but the cannabinoid levels are higher in the DWC and top drip and flood and drain, all the hydro methods.
Interesting.
That's interesting.
Yeah, for real. The that kind of matches the research that there was some recent research on indoor versus outdoor that ended up finding that THC or sorry terpenes were higher outdoor than indoors, and that THCA was higher with indoor flower than outdoor. They were comparing a true outdoor with living soil and sun, but maybe with just part of that equation, that's what you guys are seeing too, right? With that living soil, and that's got to be fun to keep going. Do you have are they huge bins of soil then that you guys turn and keep throughout or supplement with?
Yeah, they're long troughs. Yeah, there's four long troughs in our rooms, and yeah, we're like whenever we harvest, we cut the plant and we leave the roots in there and just let it decompose. Obviously, we have beneficial bugs and teas that we put in there, all
Compost
organic.
teas and worm castings.
Yep, yep,
Oh, nice.
exactly.
Man, that's done right. I imagine that the terps are really strong off that room. I if we record an episode 2 on site, man, we should record it in there.
Hey, welcome to come here. We're in East Tennessee in a remote area. A lot of people can't make the trip, but if you want
Hey,
to do
yeah.
something, we're all about it.
So yeah, and in East Tennessee, right? What is the cannabis industry like, or how is the hemp derived cannabinoid industry in Tennessee right now? Are you guys finding it a competitive space, or are you new to the market there and like pushing this education? I guess how's the rollout been in state versus like online with your wholesaling and other product sales?
Yeah, I think the the market that we're in right now is we're fighting with a lot of we're in a market where there's not a lot of regulation compared to the marijuana market.
Not as tightly
So
compliant or held to anything in there.
exactly. So there's not a lot of players at this moment in the THCA and the CBD hemp market. A lot of the players are brokers. A lot of your online stores, they're just brokering flowers. That's one of the things we tout on our website. We are the farm. Um,
Right. Actually, the source of it, you guys have seen it, right, and have the soil to tell the story.
yeah, because I mean that's a legitimate concern, right? It's there wasn't fentanyl in weed whenever I was in high school, or at least I didn't know about it.
Yeah, man.
And
Here's some of those.
now it's like, how do we know this? If you have a broker that's just pushing flour, he's moving weight. At the end of the day, if he's not there looking at the harvest, I'm not saying that the cartel's trying to put fentanyl and distribute to brokers out there, not to buy their flour, but it's to me, it's a
It's an
legitimate
unknown.
concern.
Yeah, and I saw that you guys list the COA with the products. I think that's awesome to see as well. Just as a kind of sewer minded consumer, I love to see that lineup of the terps, like the all the cannabinoid breakdown. Pretty great. Looks like the lab system is well integrated for you guys. How is that process working with the lab? Are there in-state hemp labs, or is that out of state cannabinoid testing.
Yep. So we got to follow a pretty strict compliance process when it comes to the Department of Ag and getting our lab certifications for all our cultivars on a batch by batch basis.
I see. Okay, so
So
there's similar plant tracking then for hemp and for the farm bill to the THC or the marijuana industry with plant tracking, plant tags, harvest batch IDs, all that fun stuff to see your way through to the finished products.
yeah, yes and no. Yes, in that there is a plant tracking system. I would say it's more from seed to harvest, or seed to
I
cure, if you
see.
will, as opposed to seed to sale or clone to sale, whatever method you're using.
It's really in that manufacturing stage where the agricultural stage where you're tracking.
Yeah, exactly. Just to make sure that the cannabinoid levels are compliant and all that, given the rules with the Department of Ag.
Right, right. Yeah, got to stay in line there and jump through the hoops. So what's next for Flow Gardens? Any conferences, events, or projects? Anything great cooking back in that R&D room?
We got tons of stuff cooking back there. And, my focus over the next, I would say at least year, if not more, is just consumer education on the one-to-one market. Rob, I was impressed that you even knew what type 1, 2, 3, and 4 was. I know you looked at our website,
Hey,
but I could tell in your voice you had a pretty clear understanding of it, because like even people that are in the marijuana industry, like a lot of them don't understand that. So like last year I was at Benzinga's cannabis and psychedelics conference, and so I
yeah.
spoke about the one-to-ones on a panel in front of a group of people. And the fact of the matter is, we just got to keep doing that as a company so people understand the beauty of this plant, and that's the plan.
Right, right. Sharing the knowledge and spreading that. I think it's easier said than done, but that's what it takes, man. That constant effort and kind of rolling it out. And yeah, shout out to the Ganjier program. I went through there and became a certified Ganjier. And I think in one of the lessons they went through those types and really broke it down. And they're trying to push some of that knowledge as well.
Tell me about that. Is that the Ganjier program?
Yeah, so the Ganjier Council is a group of like legacy growers, scientists, and cannabis advocates that have come together to make a program to essentially promote cannabis connoisseurship and education. So folks can sign up to become a certified Ganjier, and in doing that, you go through some online training, some required reading, and you have to actually take a written test on that, and that's based on like cannabis history, different kind of cannabis consumption, cultivar types, and then they've developed a system to rate and review cannabis flower based on the appearance, flavor, aroma, and experience. So you go
So
through and do kind of a live tasting and learn how to try to discern those smells, like kind of describe a good product versus maybe not so good one, or discern what may be the best across a range.
I knew we had a connection, and I'll tell you why real quick. I don't know. Are we okay on time right now, Rob?
Yeah, all good there.
Okay. So your word is more catchy, and that resonates more. What I don't know the correct vernacular, but certified interpreter. An
Ah,
expert
yes.
at terpenes, which is a connoisseur of the cannabis plant. I think the gentleman's name that started the organization was Max, maybe Max something, but very
Yeah,
similar.
I want
You
to take
order the
that class
terpene
next year.
oils. You got to take a test on bud structure. Everything from cannabis history, like you said, to botrytis, to PM, to identifying the terpene smells. Like it's so
Right,
yeah. I'm
really
I'm a, I'm a
thorough
closet
cannabis.
cannabis connoisseur.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, it's good to cross paths then, right? It's those different terpenes are wild to try to really put a name on. It's you can tell it's citrus, but then like what kind of citrus, or
Yeah.
where, like
Is it
is it
citral? Is it limonene? Is it
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
difficult, man. And it's so objective as well. It's kind of fun to talk about and break down a flower with folks too, like I'm telling you, I smell this, try to argue your case. But I think
The
it's,
coolest thing that I learned in the interpreter course was about the olfactory nerves and this, your smelling nerves. And whenever you're smelling an indica dominant plant, the olfactory, like the nerves actually kind of here in your mouth and directly back, you can like kind of sense the smell this way. But when you're smelling a sativa, um, or a narrow leaf plant as opposed compared to
yeah,
the indica broadleaf, you can feel the olfactory nerves and the senses up here more.
a little more
So
centrally and higher in the head.
exactly, which like kind of answers a lot of questions about what sativa is more cerebral and all
Yeah, some
that.
of those effects too.
So if you didn't already know that, Rob, then next time you're smelling a pretty strong sativa, strawberry cough, or whatever it might be,
Yeah,
pay attention to those olfactory nerves that go right here, and it's pretty
definitely.
cool.
Definitely, yeah. For listeners, the nerves he's explaining on the sativa side are kind of running alongside the nose, like down from the eye and kind of up to the center of the forehead. And then the indica would be like in the mouth and jaw, and kind of like back to the ears. I'll definitely have to try a blind test and see if I can tell the difference. I think the other thing I really took away from the course was more of a critical look at the effects of cannabis too, like of the high, like in trying to tell one high from another, and kind of the differences in like the onset and the decline, and maybe like how long you're at a peak feeling there. I think it was easy, or I guess before it's just kind of consuming, treating therapeutically, recreationally, medically, or otherwise, but you don't really think all the time about one feeling versus the next. I think that's where that entourage effect starts to come, and kind of where one-to-one flower and being able to have CBD with the full entourage effect of terpenes is pretty intriguing. I will say I don't I haven't tried too many CBD products like tinctures and pills and things like that. Maybe because it's lacking that kind of that flavor, man.
Yeah, and that whole kind of holistic approach.
Right, right. That being said, I have been trying a sleep tincture with CBD from Polar Gold extracts, and I could definitely tell. I could definitely tell the nights I have that one.
Really. So do
But
you? And I'm just kind of curious. Do you know of any um, quality solventless tinctures, or is that just something that's not on the market? I've always wondered that.
yeah, that's a good question. The
Huh.
solventless market is extremely intriguing now. I'm happy to see that resurgence in solventless in most markets, especially as they mature. People want those terpenes and they want to have something natural, right, and clean.
So you've made bubble hash quite a bit.
For a little while, yeah, I was learning from forums at that time. Man, there was not an industry yet. It was about 10 years ago in Denver.
Yeah, we're starting to dabble in the extract space very lightly, but we're so small and growing so fast. We want to take things brick by brick, but the extracts, whether it's solvent with BHO or CO2 or those solventless processes, it's something I'm not wildly familiar with, but I'm looking forward to learn a lot more about it.
Definitely, man. That would be interesting as well to see some concentrates from the flower you guys are growing, right? And see some dabbables. That's always
Yeah.
fun.
See you guys.
Awesome, David. Well, thank you, man, for jumping on the show today. Where can our listeners learn more about Flow Gardens and connect with you?
Yeah, FlowGardens.com. That's our website. Like I said, from a learning and education perspective, just be patient with us here in the coming months. We're going to have some great content up there for people to really understand the different types of flower, really understand all things cannabis, whether it's cultural, whether it's science-based, whether it's cultivation, education on how to do that if people want to kind of grow on their own. We'll give you real information that means something. It's just not another brochure. So, but yeah, check us out at FlowGardens.com, and you can find us there.
Hey, awesome, man. Thanks for hopping on, and I'll put a link here in the show notes.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rob. We appreciate you having us on, and
Thank you for listening to the Apartment 113 podcast. For more information about the show, along with our services and courses, visit apt113.com. We offer cannabis software product management, cannabis education courses, and freelance writing. With over a decade of experience in the cannabis industry, Apartment 113 is here to help.